doesn't it feel like BigXthaPlug came out of nowhere? I mean, seriously, there's probably some of you guys who are watching this video like, BigXtha who? Come again? Yeah, I get it. If that's you, I don't even think you're wrong for feeling that way. But this bubbling rapper is quietly dominating in a way that needs to be studied harder than whatever the hell Young Thug was saying on the hook of Lifestyle. Yeah, it's 2025. I still don't know what the hell he was saying, honestly. Well, guess what? That's why in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly why you should be paying attention to BigXthaPlug and what he has going on. By the way, guys, my name is Uche and I make videos like this every single week, or at least I'm planning to. So if you enjoy what you see, hit that like button. If you wanna see me grow, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into this. All right, before we get into his background, the rise of BigXthaPlug, we gotta talk about this new album that just dropped called I Hope You're Happy, which released on August 22nd, 2025. And I'll be real with you guys, I've heard the project a few times. It is a very good listen, straight through from top to bottom. You got the conceptual theme that he's going with, where he's really tapping into that emotionally hurt bag. If anybody's ever gone through a heartbreak, if anybody's ever gone through turmoil in their relationship, you're gonna feel this project. And I'll be honest with you, that's kind of a cheat code, because I think most people, whether you're teenage age, 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever the case may be, you done felt a heartbreak at least one time in your life. So this should be able to be something you can resonate with. That being said, it has a lot of heavy hitters on this project, which we're gonna get into in a few, but there was a standout single that dropped called All the Way featuring Bailey Zimmerman. It came out on April 4th, 2025, and that was the lead single, which led up to this actual project. Funny enough, I've been watching a few interviews and pieces of content for Big X, and he talked about how the album came about, where it came from a previous Billboard interview that he did, where he was essentially trolling, saying that he had a new album with Jelly Roll and Post Malone coming. He meant to say a couple new songs, and later on down the line, that ended up becoming a project because his team essentially said, nah, we gotta make that happen. That being said, I mentioned a couple of names already. Jelly Roll is one. He's on a song called Box Me Up. That could arguably be my favorite song on the project. Super deep, emotional cut. If you love the country, hip hop duality, you're gonna like this song and the album as a whole, because essentially that's what you're getting on this new project, is a fusion of hip hop and country music, which a lot of people done came before BigXthaPlug to deliver such a idea, and they've been rejected. But it almost seems like Big X is coming at the right time to drop a project like this. And of course, we got other features like Shabuzi, who's on the song Home. We got Luke Combs, who's on the song Pray Hard. Darius Zucker's on the opening track, actually the title track as well, called I Hope You're Happy. Thomas Rhett, who's on the song called Long Nights, which I really, really love. You got Ella Langley on the song called Hell of a Night. Tucker Wetmore on the song called About You. And Ink on the song called 24/7. That being said, I'm very curious to know what you guys think of this new project. Have you listened? Is it something that you are even planning to listen to in the first place? Yo, let me know in the comments. Okay, let's talk about Xavier Landon, better known as BigXthaPlug. He's from Dallas, was born there, raised there. He had a really harsh upbringing, lived with his mom for a little bit, lived with his dad for a little bit, parents separated. Nonetheless, he was an extremely talented football player. I don't think a lot of people know that. He actually played at Ferris High School and later went to a junior college called Crown College. And, you know, he received a lot of scholarship offers to D1 schools. He was really out here going crazy on the football field, but eventually, and unfortunately for him, and some might actually say fortunately, because this world has a really, really weird way of working out for those of us who continue to be on our mission, but he was actually expelled from school for selling marijuana, aka cannabis, aka weed. And according to Stephen A. Smith, he did not stay off the weed. That's what BigXthaPlug actually was expelled for. And so that kind of shattered his D1 dreams, unfortunately. But he did have a couple of kids, especially one during that time, which was a son with autism. And he's talked openly about having a son with autism and more recently having a daughter and having to be there for his family and figuring out a way to provide. And sometimes he had to do illegal activities ability to be able to do that. And so he had a real, I'd say, common hustler story for a lot of dudes coming up in the trenches, underprivileged kids that see sports and rap as a way out. And so, hey, in his case, sports didn't work out, but clearly rap did, because he actually went to jail, and it was through the prison system that he actually found music, right? So he talked a lot in an interview that I watched where he said he was trying his hardest not to go crazy in solitary confinement. That led him to taking up raps, which interesting fact, he wrote his first rhymes on a jail-issued medical form. And so those were some of the inception stages of him getting into rap as a way to express himself, which I think is a common story for a lot of rappers. We transitioned. That led him to put out his first project ever called Back from the Dead, which released December 14, 2020, which marked the very first mixtape/project he had ever put out. And that did a bit of noise. It was mostly local to the Dallas area. He was nowhere near a regional star just yet. But I gotta say this, guys, if you haven't heard a BigXthaPlug song, you need to, because he's bringing songwriting back. He's bringing storytelling back, in my opinion. And I think that is why the pop world, the country world is embracing him at a large scale. And it's because of that, guys. Bring storytelling back. We can argue, oh, does this person rap well? Yes or no? Oh, how great of a technical rapper are they? You can have them debates all day, every day, but the storytelling, I believe, is what makes BigXthaPlug who he is. And it's no coincidence that he was able to parlay that into a independent venture. All right, so I know you guys have heard that famous quote or topic by Jay-Z where he talks about owning 100% of nothing, or let's say 50% of something so much more lucrative. You know, I feel like that's a topic that goes over a lot of people's head, especially in the music industry. You talk about guys signing record deals, guys being independent, whatever the case may be. Personally, I don't think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I think at the end of the day, you gotta have leverage. And that's exactly what BigXthaPlug was able to do with this strategic partnership with United Masters, which is a company that allows artists to retain their masters and actually be able to really eat off of their publishing and licensing opportunities. Nonetheless, you see a lot of artists coming up now, and if they're independent, there's a good chance they're working with United Masters, because one of the strategic things that they've been able to do is really corner the market and have a partnership with a lot of brands that allow artists to really get their music synced in TV shows, radio ads, social media campaigns. The list goes on, right? Movies. Wherever you hear music, there's a good chance the United Masters group has a partnership with a popular brand, and that's exactly what they did with BigXthaPlug, because one of his biggest songs, arguably called The Largest, no pun intended, I just said biggest. Actually, I think it's the biggest, anyway, that song was super popular on that Wingstop commercial during the NBA Finals in actually June of this year. Yo, if you watched the NBA Finals like I did, if you were watching the playoffs, you heard the biggest, the largest. Yeah, you heard that. Yeah, it had Jalen Green in the commercial. The song went hard, super popular song. But that was all done through his partnership with United Masters, right? And so BigXthaPlug is not the first, and he won't be the last artist to go independent. But I do feel like there's a misconception about independence, and there's a lot of artists that are popular and known, like Russ, and I talked about one on the last video. Y'all make sure to go check out my Chance the Rapper video. He's also somebody who's retained his independence. It's not for the weak-hearted, I will say that, but it is an investment in yourself. I've noticed artists speaking about that a lot. So shout out to BigXthaPlug for retaining independence. He also started his own record label called 600 Entertainment, in which he signed a couple of his artists, one named Rosama, the other one named Young Hood. And so, yeah, man, BigXthaPlug is really, I think, putting on for independent artists in 2025, especially in the hip hop scene, because out of all the younger artists, majority, if not all of them, are signed to major labels. But BigXthaPlug, you could argue, is the one that's seeing a lot of the biggest growth, and it's a very under your nose type of approach that he's doing, because if you ask 10 people that can they name you a BigXthaPlug song, I'm willing to bet as of today, well, maybe not after this new album called I Hope You're Happy, but I'm willing to bet that a lot of them will say absolutely not. And I think that's changing. Now, to some of the BigXthaPlug haters or detractors, they might say once you've heard one song from him, you've heard them all. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't even dispute that fully before this new project. I hope you're happy, because there is a little bit of validity to that. You know, his songs typically have a bit of a repetitive hook. Even his flow and delivery is extremely monotone. There's not any switch ups in the cadences. He literally has the exact same flow in damn near every song. However, there's a big however. Sometimes you just can't deny the vibe, okay? That's what I'll say. And with that in mind, there's a couple of songs that he had that were extremely large songs / breakout singles for him. And let's start with the first one. We got his song called Texas, which came out November 25th, 2022. And it was a national anthem for the state of Texas. So not national, I guess it would be domestic state anthem. I don't know. That song moved mountains in Texas. That song was an anthem. Every celebrity, social media influencer, everybody was saying how this was their favorite song. BigXthaPlug is their favorite artist. And so BigXthaPlug was really cooking on that song. And he had another song called which dropped on October 6th, 2023. And as I just said, listen, I did not make a mistake, guys. The song is literally called like it's a sound effect. Go figure. But that song was a huge one for him. It hit number 63 on the Billboard Hot 100 charts. Really made a lot of noise for BigXthaPlug. He also had his song The Largest, which I could argue is his most, I'd say, iconic song to date, because when that song came out on August 9th, 2024 as a lead single to his album Take Care, it really showed the undeniable, infectious approach of BigXthaPlug's music. And so, again, like I said, his songs are repetitive. I think if you stick to the flow, yeah, you're gonna say it's repetitive, there's nothing special. But in my opinion, this is not an endorsement. I'm just giving you guys facts. I think there is some elements of his music from a songwriting standpoint / storytelling mixed with the production that makes it groovy and just a pleasant experience to listen to. One of the interesting things about this song, though, The Largest, which I was super shocked about, was the fact that on a recent interview, he admitted that his artist Rosama wrote the entire song for him. And it got me to thinking, you know, are we in a new era where rappers no longer give a damn about concealing the fact that they have ghostwriters or they work with writers? Because listen, I'm still from the era where writing your raps is a thing. You know, of course, there's rappers like Drake, Kanye West, and a slew of others who have openly come out over the years talking about how rap is a collaborative approach for them and all of these things, this, that, and the third, which I can kind of respect and I can get with, because I do think we should be able to move past this notion that hip hop is not music overall. I've always said this to folks in my circle and beyond. Why is it that hip hop is the only genre where you can't get help to craft the art? Y'all let me know in the comments if you care about rappers writing their own raps. But I'd say the last single that really made noise from him, I talked about earlier, it's the All the Way song, which is on his new country / hip hop album featuring the country artist named Bailey Zimmerman. And that song peaked, man. That was a real big song. It peaked at number 4 on the Hot 100 charts. It peaked at number 1 on the Hot Country Songs charts. This song was everywhere, and it really shows that I think we might be at the stage where hip hop and country no longer have barriers and we can really just enjoy the music for what it is. I think music is meant to be fused and collaborated, get certain sounds, and you aspire to fuse and mix them in. And I don't see any reason why country should be this impenetrable culture that black artists can't dive into and experiment with, right? I think them days is over. Now, that being said, I think the future of BigXthaPlug is bright. So you can really see the impact of BigXthaPlug's music to a recent list that just came out by Complex, which ranked the 20 best rappers in their 20s. And BigXthaPlug was actually number 5 on that list. And above him was Glorilla at number 4, Yeet at number 3, Doechii at number 2, and Playboi Carti at number 1. Below him was Central C at number 6, NBA Youngboy at number 7, King Carson at number 8. And so I think BigXthaPlug is in the midst of a lot of different style artists, but one thing I will say about him that makes him a standout on this list is he's the only one to me that has consistently created moments in the mainstream in the last 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years with some of his singles. And I'm talking about mainstream music with his own songs. I understand Glorilla has had hits. I understand NBA YoungBoy has had a couple of joints that have gone off. Playboi Carti's been on a couple songs with The Weeknd that has made some noise. Obviously, Doechii has a song more recently that went pop, Anxiety. But I think BigXthaPlug, to me, if I can name one artist on this list in the top 10, he's the one to me that has the most potential. And it's because of his infusion with country music and how the pop folks really, really love his sound and brand of music. And so I'm really hyped for this guy's success. I think he has an extremely, extremely bright future ahead. But what do you guys think? Have you been asleep at the wheel to the noise that BigXthaPlug has been making out here? Or have you been tapped in with him since day one to all the viral songs, all of the hits he's been making? Y'all let me know in the comments. Again, my name is Uche. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.